I'm going to tell you guys a little story about corporate bullshit and how sickening it really is. So, one of my colleagues last year moved to another state, and our leadership and HR department of the company I work for, even though we have many senior leaders coming in all the time from other states, feels like every month almost there's new senior leadership from other states, and I'm very certain most of them, or not all, any of them, are moving here. And I know employees who've moved out of state, and the company knows, and they continue to be gainfully employed. Somehow they decided that my colleague was ineligible to stay employed with the company because of the state he moved to. So, it was like me and another individual on my team who was newer to my team kind of did our best to kind of understand the work he was doing to take it over for him after he left. They, whatever you want to call it, corporations have to do this all the time, but it's never a smooth pass because this individual was well experienced what he has been doing for over a decade, and when you get you're in some space for so long and everything becomes second nature and you're just good at what you're doing because of that just work experience in that work, the line of work you're doing. That doesn't translate over, knowledge transfer sessions, they'll call them, over the course of weeks and, maybe a couple months. It just, those individual scenarios can't all be uncovered, or new issues that may arise, or even repeat issues don't arise during that time that you're trying to transition something. So it's sort of lost. So this individual, my colleague, is no longer with the company, and we're coming up to the end of the year. This is end of 2024, and I find out from my management that, and I wasn't surprised by this at all. I knew this was coming. I'm not an idiot. I've been in this company a long time. And they're like, oh yeah, we don't have budget for replacing. Backfilling is the term they use. We don't have enough budget to backfill, this former colleague of mine next year. So basically, you need to do their work in 2025, which means forever, because it's not going to change in 2026. So you do what you do, your job, add their job, at least the some of those activities which were significant, those used to be his whole function, onto your plate and do them both. I know everybody's seen that, if you work in the corporate world a bit. But they double down because we come into the new year and I already know I'm doing my job plus someone else's job, or a portion of their job. They had a few other, responsibilities, but this was a big one. They invite actually an HR representative from our company to one of our team monthly meetings to give us a long discussion, and it literally drove me crazy. And my colleagues, we were IMing, some of us who went to the meeting virtually, to basically tell us why the company doesn't do cost of living increases, even though inflation's been out of control the last few years, and we've all been demoted basically because our dollar doesn't go as far. The salary we had doesn't buy as many groceries, as much gas, as much clothes, etc. You get the drill. You live this life too, right? And that we shouldn't expect those costs of living increases because, and this is what made me lose it, she tried to make some analogy to basically say, if we were increasing your salaries when inflation goes up, we would also have to lower your salaries, get this, when inflation lowers. And I'm thinking, I'm not an economist, but inflation doesn't lower. It will slow. Inflation always goes up. It's always going up. It can slow its increase, and if we ride it out, not increasing too much for a while, that's our benefit. But inflation doesn't really go down. And if there is some exception to that, I can't think of one in my lifetime, to be honest. I'm not an economist, though. Maybe I missed something. But, I don't remember where I'm like, oh my God, like now my dollar goes so much far at the gas station. I know like they'll just change gas prices or something, but it's not like eggs all of a sudden go down $5 for the course of 2 years because inflation went down. That's not how it works. That's not life. So she makes that stupid analogy and then also discusses why we shouldn't expect merit increases, raises. This is a corporate bullshit HR language. And, that's not too surprising. I guess I kind of gotten used to poor merit increases, poor raises for a few years. Sure, some of my colleagues were more on, were newer, trying to, climb their way up the ladder, newer to the company, newer to their careers. That probably was more bothersome to them versus someone, who's been with this company a couple decades, and just been in the field, for a couple decades and, grown to have a good salary. That probably hurt them a little bit more. And then apparently I was finding this out, some colleagues and friends of mine in the company, I've learned since last week, didn't actually get merit increases last year or for a few years, which actually surprised me. We're not, the HR bullshit is you're not supposed to talk about salary, and this is all their game. So it's against company policy for you to discuss salary with your colleagues and friends of the company, then you're not going to learn this stuff. But then you find out. So apparently a lot of the company hasn't even been getting raises, which I'm not going to say, well, that makes me feel bad that I got shitty raises. They got nothing. It just shows how shitty the company is. And then I kind of put together, it all came together in my head, this story that you've just heard bits and pieces of. That so basically an employee leaves because of a company policy. They made him leave. I am given his work. And they're saying don't expect a raise. So basically, F you, do your job and someone else's job because we chose to not keep that person employed. We don't have the budget for them, and we're not going to give you a raise because we don't have the budget for the raise or for that employee. So you get to do their work and someone else's work. And I know you've all heard this. This is nothing new in the corporate world. But to kind of like see it materialize like that in front of me, it's like literally the management of this company and HR telling me to get bent, to get effed. And it's just corrosive and disgusting. That's the world we're in now. Of this is the corporate world. Yeah. Fun, isn't it? Cheers.